let's do, the two are related, these two topics, which is called the 道自宗自, it literally means the aim, the objective, the goal of the Tao. Okay, that's literally what it means. You can say the essence, the purpose, okay, of the Tao. Then the second topic is called world harmony, right? 理运大同, which is taken from the chapter, I think it's chapter 9 of the book of rites. R-I-T-E-S, 礼记, right? 礼记. That's the book of rites, which was written, they say, probably at least 2,500 to 3,500 years ago. Okay, that's probably during the Shang dynasty, right? Probably during the time of, probably even before. We're not so sure, between Yao and Shun and that time, so roughly that time. So what Confucius did, Confucius, he's known as a scholar which edited, some of those historical books. The Book of Rites is one of them. Music, history, the I Ching example, right? I think there are 5 classics. I mean, that he kind of like edited or added commentary to it. So this was one of them. Okay, the 礼运大同. Literally, it means 礼运. You can say it's 礼 literally means ritual. Okay, or ritual. Etiquette, that time. 运 means to become, right? To turn into, right? To become, right? So from applying rituals to literally, I'm explaining what the title means. Literally, what it means is from using these rituals, these ancient rituals, we can turn this world into utopia, or world harmony or world order. That 大同 means harmonious, world, or utopia world. So that's what literally it means. Okay, but these two topics are related because our one, I mean, there are different, there are multiple aims in the Tao also, right? The reason why we quote unquote receive the Tao, it's because we have to get the 3 treasures, right? Obviously, and that's for the long term, right? The long term. Meaning the eternal term really is that, because with the 3 treasures, only with the treasure are you able to go back, right? I mean, even if you are, say, oh, I'm really smart, or I'm really wise, or I'm really, dedicated, or and I can meditate like crazy, or whatever, and I become enlightened, you still need the 3 treasures to go, to go in. Siddhartha, right? After he became enlightened, right, under the Bodhi tree, who showed up? Dipankara, right? Landangufu, Dipankara gave him the 3 treasures. So everything, and just like Siddhartha at the flower sermon gave Mahakasyapa, right? Mahakasyapa during the flower sermon, right? Mahakasyapa, the 3 treasures. So same thing. So we need the 3. So that's for the long term. Meanwhile, we're saying, okay, that time hasn't come yet. What are we doing? What are we doing in this world after we receive the Tao, right? What are we doing? Is to what? Well, to the whole point of it is to follow our Buddha nature, right? To realize our Buddha nature and to follow our Buddha nature, right? That's the process of enlightenment. But in doing that, in that process, we want to what? Literally, just like what the Bible said, is to what? Create kingdom of God on heaven. Kingdom of heaven on earth. Kingdom of heaven on earth. Right? Kingdom of heaven. What's kingdom of heaven on earth? It's utopia. It's paradise. You can pay. All right, in doing it. And we can do so because why? Our Buddha nature, if everybody is enlightened or is in the process of being enlightened, okay, we can realize our Buddha nature and we can better understand what our Buddha nature is all about. Right? Okay? And then when we apply that, what we learn or what we understand or what we know about Buddha nature into our daily lives, that will lead us to paradise. Okay, so it's the human. I mean, in today's world, you look at today's world. Okay, you have experts, pundits and scholars debating, say, oh, why is the society so bad? Why is the world so screwed up the way it is now? Maybe because there's corruption, because there is no governance, because there are failed states like Yemen, like Somalia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, So we tend to focus on more institutions, right? Institutions. Oh, there's lack of government, lack of a strong leader, lack of a poor economy, lack of opportunities, et cetera, right? We tend to all focus on those things. There's no law, there's no this, there's that. These are all institutions. These are all created by humans or societies, for that matter. What people fail to realize is that, yes, to some degree, those are sufficient conditions. To some degree, they are responsible, or they play a role in why societies fail or societies are so screwed up. But the ultimate reason is what? Humans. Your human nature. If humans, I don't care how great your system is. I don't care if you have the best system in the whole universe. But if the humans are corrupt, if humans are bad, I don't care. The system's corrupted, right? So ultimately, you see what I'm trying to get at? So that's why this is more philosophical. You can say it's philosophical as opposed to like a science or technical. Technical maybe is a better term. Because when we talk about institutions, that's technical. That's technical. Say, oh, we have to have better court system, or we have to have equal access, or we have to have this, that. Those are technical details. Those are technical, mechanical. Those are mechanical stuff. But what runs the mechanics, what keeps the cogs rolling or moving, is the humans. It's the humans behind it. The human will, or human actions, or human desires, or whatever, okay, vision, whatever, okay. So what the Tao is, and philosophy and higher, Buddha, Confucius. Well, Confucius not so much. Confucius try to be intermediate, but Buddha, especially Buddha, he's talking about the highest level, which is humans. If humans all ultimately become enlightened, and follow their Buddha nature, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of system we have. It doesn't matter. It no longer matters. You see what I'm trying to say? Because that supersedes. Because you are a Buddha. You know exactly how to behave, how to act accordingly without, the law says A, B, C, D, E. No, or the institution say you have to do A, B, C, D. No, you don't need to do that. You see what I'm trying to say? So that's the big gap, you can say. Big gap. The big difference. So people say, oh, you know what? Yeah, what Buddha say is very nice. It's, in theory, it's nice and everything, but it's not applicable. But it's not, or not honestly not applicable, or it's difficult to apply, or difficult to implement. Because what he's talking about is like, utopia. Oh, hunky-dory. Everything is fantastic. Everything is perfect. All right? That's where Confucius comes in. That's why I say Confucius is more intimate. Confucius, yes, he ultimately does talk about being enlightened, all that stuff. But he used another term. He used the term 君子. Okay, you guys understand 君子, right? 君子means it's a superior person. I mean, it means a it's a superior person. I mean, that's the virtuous. The closest in the Western philosophy concept is what Schopenhauer and Nietzsche would call the superior person, right? Übermensch. I mean, that's the closest in Western philosophy, okay? Or that's called really German. That's called subjective idealism, by the way. That branch of philosophy. But I don't go into too many technical details. Okay, it's called Übermensch. So what Confucius is trying to say is, okay, we may not be completely enlightened, in a practical real world situation. We may not be completely enlightened as like what the Buddha would say that we should be or we could be, but there is an intermediate step, and that is if everybody can become like a superior or virtuous person, like 君子, then you are in that process to become enlightened and therefore a perfect society. So Confucius is trying to bridge this gap, okay, between this perfection, this absolute perfection of being enlightened, of enlightened society, enlightened world, versus the everyday, mundane, realistic current world. Okay, so that's the okay. So this is the background. So you guys got to understand where in this. Okay. So that's why he came up with this 理运大同 or a perfect world harmony, a world harmony, or I don't know how would you translate that? World harmony. I mean, or perfect world order, or a utopian society, whatever. Okay, all right. But let's go to 道之宗旨 first. The aim of what is the aim or the essence of the Tao or the objective of the Tao, right? Okay. Now it says, okay. I don't know what the translation you say, to respect, right? We could say to revere, respect heaven and earth. All right. Okay. Now I could go into details. Okay. So what it really means is that's the very first important thing. Okay. To revere heaven and earth. To revere heaven and earth. So what does that mean, to revere heaven and earth? Okay. So it just means, okay, yeah, like any religion, people will say, oh yeah, that means, yeah, we believe in God, we worship God, just like the Muslim says, Allah, Allah is the, blessed is Allah. If you read the Quran, there is like a chapter one that, oh my God, talks about the how God, Allah is so great. There's so many lines. It's very beautiful. It's very poetic. But all that example that. Yes, that's part of it. That's part of it. What really it means is that to understand that, yes, to revere heaven and earth, but to realize that we too, humans, are part of this. Okay, are part of that. And that is that we have this Buddha nature, that we have this immortal being, that in a sense we are like part of God. Now that's if you are at an enlightened level, okay, that we have this supreme consciousness, if you will, or subconscious, whatever you want to call it, and that we are part of it, and that because we are part of it, so therefore you understand that we are at one with heaven and earth. Okay, we are part of this whole. All right. So there's no longer, what I'm trying to get at is there's no longer a sense of, I don't want to say, in psychology, they call it sense of ego, right? No longer a sense of ego, of I, or just like I am distinct from everybody else, okay? No longer differentiated perspective, okay? But rather a collective conscious, okay? That's what was that philosopher? Not Freud, the other guy. Young. Yeah, talked about the collective unconsciousness, right? That's what that means. That means that you understand, you realize that you are part of heaven and earth, and that everybody is also part of it. So there's no longer that distinction between you, me, they, us, okay? No ego, in other words, okay? And that's very important, because that's what really a Buddha state is, an enlightened state is. A Buddha, okay? A Buddha is everywhere. It's everywhere. Okay, well, Buddha, all right, that's what we are, okay? So that's very important. And then to follow the ways of the saintly or holy, right? Okay, because once you understand that, then you realize, oh, you are holy. You are a saint. You are like a Buddha. You are really a Buddha. If you can realize that, if you can reach that level, okay, then you are like Buddha, all right? And that because there's no longer a distinction between you and I, or us and them, etc., then you understand or you realize that we are all the same. We're all brothers and sisters, whatever. We're all one family, in other words. All right? Okay? So there's no distinction according to what? Race, nationality, language, religion, creed, culture, etc., etc. Okay? Okay? It makes sense? Right? It follows, all right? Okay, so therefore, what's the next step? It says, 爱国宗室, right? 顿品宗理, right? Oh, 从理. Oh, yeah. Okay. To what? That means to what? Well, 爱国宗室嘛, right? 爱国宗室. Yeah. Okay. No. 理神明. No. 理神明 is to follow the ways of the saintly. Yeah, I said that. Okay, 爱国宗师, I already said that. Yeah, 对不对？孝父母，重师尊，信朋友，和相邻. Right? Okay, so then these all follows, right? That means that means what means that is we, okay, yeah, 顿品中, yeah, we'll have the highest, you can say the highest or supreme moral character. You can say that, moral character, okay? Because we are in line. We're in line, right? So therefore, your behavior will follow accordingly, and it says proper behavior. That will be in accordance with our Buddha nature, okay? Then our behavior, our attitudes, our perspectives, our mindfulness, our awareness, etc., our actions, our behavior. The eightfold paths, okay? All right, that will follow, okay? And then so therefore, part of this supreme moral character or the behavior is that we will be filial towards our parents, right? That there it follows, right? And that we will okay, I don't want to go into detail of what field. We all know what that is, okay? 重师尊, that means, it means to basically to respect, revere our masters, and to follow their guidance, properly, and to follow, be in accordance. In other words, there's no counter 反抗. There's no opposition. There's no that. In other words, whatever our masters, our teachers, who are our masters? Okay, our masters. Who are our masters? Who are our masters? Well, yeah. In the Tao, we can say holy teacher. Yeah, the Buddhas, basically the Buddhas. Okay, so we go from the highest level. You said the Buddhas, the saints. You can say that all the way to our everyday lives, our teachers. Okay, be it. Our teachers in school, that type of thing. Okay? All right, so the whole spectrum, okay, in other words, okay? So that's what it implies, okay? All right? Okay, so therefore, we will respect, revere, and follow their, you can say their guidance, okay? Or okay? And then we will trust our friends, right? 信朋友, yeah? We'll have trustworthiness but amongst friends. And we will be harmonious with our neighbors, right? 相邻, right? And then 改恶向善, right? And then we will change or transform our what? Not just ourselves. Just in general, from evil to the good, or from something that's not so good to something that's better. Okay, bad to the good. Okay, we will transform our characters. In other words, people. Let's say people have have bad habits or bad tendencies. We will gradually transform, or get rid of that, okay, or rid those bad tendencies or bad, our tendencies to lie, to steal, etc., okay, all those things, okay, to covet, to lust, to desire, all that, okay, will be transformed. And then we say 讲明五伦八德, right, 阐发五教圣人之奥之,奥之, okay. So then we have to, 阐发, to expound, to elucidate, to explain clearly the principles. You can say the principle or the principles, or really you can say the highest aims or goals of the 5 religious saints or masters, 5 religious founders. Okay, they use the word 5 religions but there's more than 5. But we're talking about the 5 is the 5 major ones that exist today, right? Right? Christianity, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism. Okay, even though some people say, why we exclude Hinduism and stuff like that. I guess Hinduism will be covered under Buddhism because Buddhism came from Hinduism. Okay. All right, so or it's an offshoot. Okay, and to explain. Oh, sorry, I forgot that the previous line is to explain the 5 relationships and the 8 virtues. Right, we all know what the 5 relationships are. Right, the superior, the subordinate, like manager and supervisor and employee. Right, husband and wife, father and son, brothers, sisters, and friends. Right, is that right? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay. And the 8, we all know what the 8 virtues are, right? Filial piety, fraternity, loyalty, trust, propriety, let's see, righteousness, integrity, and sense of shame, right? Okay, so we know these are all Confucius principles. Okay, Confucian, you can say part of the Confucian theories. Okay, Confucian principles. All right. Okay, and we all sentient beings have these qualities. You can say we in society that live in society cannot escape from these 5 relationships, right? And our Buddha nature or true nature has all these 8 virtues. Okay, and then also all right, and then to let's see, 老尊 right 是为纲常之古礼 right 洗心涤虑借假修真回复本性之自然 Okay, 启发良知良能之善 Yeah, okay, all right. So that means we have to follow, yeah, 老君嘛 okay, 老君侍卫 yeah, the 4, we have to abide, okay, or follow, okay, scrupulously. That means not deviate, okay, unerringly, okay, by the 4, it's called they call it the 4 pillars, right, or the 4, 四维纲常 Yeah, you can say the 4, or no, they call it the 4 orders, the 4 orders of society, the 4 pillars of society. Okay, what are
second half of the
virtues? Yeah, what are it's the second half? Yeah, it's the latter 4 parts of the 8 virtues. Okay, right, which is what? Propriety, righteousness, integrity, and sense of shame. Those are the 4 pillars of conduct, or what we call social order. So now I'm saying, in order for society to function harmoniously, you have to have these 4. You have to have integrity. You have to have righteousness. You have to have integrity, righteousness, propriety, and sense of shame. Okay, that's right. You have to have that. Okay, this is Confucius. Okay, this is also Confucius. All right, and then we have to now. It says to clean. To 洗心涤虑 yeah, okay, yeah, 涤虑 means anxiety, worries, right? Okay, so sometimes we have to basically clean our hearts and minds and to get rid of our worries or anxieties, okay? All right? I'll get into that detail later. It's not now. People will say, okay, people would say that, if your Buddha nature is pure, right? It's absolute. It's true. It is pure and it's absolute. But the problem is, then how can it become dirty? It doesn't. It is because it's just that it's covered up by our human desires or human failings, quote unquote. Okay, human feelings or human desires or human, you can say, human nature has what? Two sides. It's bipolar. Okay, it can be both good and bad. Right? It's any combination. Okay, all right. We can't say it's all perfectly good or all perfectly evil. Right? Okay, because it's not absolute. Human nature, by definition, is not absolute because we live in this yin and yang universe. Nothing is absolute. Right? That's one thing we learn. Right? Relativity. Right? Einstein taught us that. Right? Okay. Only the Buddha nature is absolute. Right? Buddha nature is neither, right? It's neither, right? Okay. So because human nature still has that relative good and bad, right? We have to make sure we have to clear our human nature towards the good, right? I mean, people say, oh yeah, towards the good, all right? Okay, so that's what it means, all right? And then in doing so, we can rid ourselves of our our shortcomings, our anxieties, our worries, etc., etc. All right? Okay? So, therefore, we have to,借假修真. That means, literally, it means to borrow from the false to cultivate the true. Okay? Literally, that's what it means. Literally. Okay? It just means that we have to make use of our forms, in this case, our bodies, in order to become enlightened or to cultivate the truth, which is to become enlightened. Example, Siddhartha he still had to be a human in order to become enlightened. Otherwise, there's no point, right? Otherwise, there's no point. So we all have to, what we call this cultivation, this process of cultivation, meaning to improve ourselves. You can say to improve, okay, all right, okay. So just like heaven, even though, heaven or God, the truth is absolute, all right, but it does not speak to us. It has no mouth, no words. It cannot speak to us, all right. So even though it's true that according to the absolute truth, we all should have a harmonious world. But because we are in this relative universe where human nature could become good, it's bipolar, could become good, bad, we have all this chaos or all these, right, shortcomings, right? So therefore, we have to utilize our bodies, our, we can say, false self or a relative selves or relative forms in order to transform it into something that's perfect. Okay, so we have to do that, right? That's the whole aim, and that's what the whole aim of this of the purpose of Tao is, right? To transform this world into a paradise. As we are progressing, right, that journey towards what? Enlightenment or towards perfection, right? Just what Confucius says, that as superior persons, 君子, right, we have to conduct ourselves. If we follow the five constant, virtues, the eight virtues or the eightfold paths, etc., 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 we can achieve that. Or we're on that road, right? So that's why we have to utilize or borrow the form. And now, why do I say that? Our forms are false or all that? Because from a Buddha perspective, none of this is eternal, right? Right? Our lives, our physical lives, have a limit, right? I mean, if you're lucky, you live 100 years, right? So therefore, from their perspective, it's not eternal. What is eternal is your Buddha nature, because it still exists, right? It's just no longer in the body or whatever. All this, the mountains, the earth, for crying out loud, the sun, or the whole universe, it's not permanent. Yeah, it may last a long time. It could last 15, 20, 30 billion years, but at some point it's going to be gone, be destroyed. So from a Buddha's perspective, none of this physical world, or this world of yin and yang, you can call it, right, is permanent. That's why we call it the relative world. It's called relative world, right? Okay, so that's why. Okay, so that's what it means. Okay, that's what. All right. So it's a question of perspective, right? It's a matter. Okay, then 启发良知之良能之善. Yeah. Okay. To you can say to inspire, to arouse, to enlighten. Yeah. 启发. Yeah, that's what it means, right? Our what? You can say to. Yeah. Okay. To bring out the highest. To bring out the highest compassion and consciousness, okay, or conscience that is within us all. All right, that's what it means. Okay, to the highest, you can say highest compassion. Basically, to what a level of a Buddha's compassion is like. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, all right, okay, and then to 既利利人，既达达人. Yeah, that means to establish yourself, okay? To establish ourselves and to help others become established, okay? To be accomplished ourselves and to help others become accomplished, okay? Or to achieve, okay? That means, what does that mean? It means when you say establish ourselves, it means that means you, what? Become enlightened. I mean, that's the highest level. That's the highest level. I mean, the highest, okay? That's the highest level. And then you help others become enlightened. All right? Well, that's what 启达, 起立启达, 己立己离达. That's what it means. You become enlightened. I mean, first you establish ourselves. That means you become what? Aware. You become aware. You realize. You can say you realize. You realize your Buddha nature and how marvelous and all that stuff and what you should do. And then 己达 means then you become enlightened, or you reach the goal. You reach the goal of that awareness. Okay, so that's the highest. Okay, so we have to do so it's very important now. It's important. He added this phrases because he's saying, oh, it's not enough just that you have to become aware and become enlightened. You see what I'm saying? It's not like an arhat, right? Arhat is just saying, hey, I don't care about the rest of the world. As long as I become enlightened, that's my goal, period. That's it, right? See? So what he's saying is that, no, in order to create a world, a perfect world, kingdom of heaven on earth, not just you or one has become enlightened, but everybody else. Yeah, that's why it's very important. Okay, that's the message right here. And then 往世界为清平，化人心为善良，济世界为人统。Okay. Oh, 大同. Sorry, 大同. Yeah. So that means, right? One means you can say to bring about. Yeah, to bring about, or to bring back this tranquility, right? 清平, you can say tranquility in this world, to transform our human hearts and minds, right, to become towards their human nature, towards the Buddha nature, original nature, to transform from our relative to the absolute, or from our human nature, okay, to our Buddha nature, all right, and to therefore bring about a world of unity and harmony. That is the purpose of this marvelous Tao. That's what I mean. Okay, that's the whole point. All right, so that's very important. Now I don't have time to go to the next one. The next one is shorter, so that's why I saved it for last. All right, it's the Liu Yin Da Tong. It's the there is a it just means the world of great harmony. I guess that's how you can it's the chapter. It's described in chapter 9 of the Book of Rites. So we can you can look it up. But the Book of Rites is the part of the 5 classics, right? Okay, that Confucius edited. Okay, all right. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Once you understand what the aim of the Tao is, right, from what we just explained in the previous section, right, then it becomes simpler to understand. If the goal or the objectives, the aims of the ideals of the Tao, you can say the ideals, the Tao, can be achieved, then it follows, right, that we would have this world harmony. Okay, and so he's describing, this is more like the utopian state, what a utopian, quote-unquote, utopian state would look like, or would be like. Okay, so he says, when the perfect order prevails, right, 大道之行也. Yeah, we say perfect, or when the great Tao, or when you can say, when the ideals of the great Tao is accomplished, you can say that, right, or it's achieved, right, the aims of the great Tao, which we just described in the previous section, right? Then the world, 天下为公. This is a very famous line, right? 天下为公. Literally, it means throughout heaven and earth. Oh, yeah, the whole 为公. 公, this 公 means literally, it means equality, or there's balance, okay, or fairness, or justice, okay? So now, but just to use one of those, descriptions, either say there's equality, there's fairness, there's justice, whatever, it's too limited. Okay, so I say, all right. So it's basically saying it's like a perfect world, a perfect society. Okay, all right, prevail. Okay, it's and in that society, in that you can say, perfectly balanced or whatever equal state or society, virtuous and worthy people will be elected or will hold office, will be, like say, will be the leaders, will become the leaders. And people of, you can say, of merit, people of merit or capability will be working, will be at work. In other words, they will not be idle. There will be no unemployment or just, okay, all right, okay, in society, all right, okay, and then, and what are the, you can,
it won't be the corrupted,
that's it, people, that's okay. Well, what do we mean by virtuous and worthy? Okay, that means virtuous is just what we described in the previous. People who have the the eight virtues, who follow the five constants, or whatever. Okay, so there's no corruption. Yeah, by definition, therefore, there's no corruption, no greed, Even though we say, hey, capitalism works on greed, right? Okay, no greed. Okay, very interesting. Okay, very interesting. So in that state, okay, there's no greed, no excess, That's the key. No, that's why 天下为公 is very important. It means there's a balance. It's like an equilibrium. There's an equilibrium. There's a natural state of equilibrium. When we look at this world, when we look at the nature, let's look at nature. We say, oh, no, it stinks, man. They have massive tsunami there are earthquakes, volcanoes, typhoon. This world's all screwed up. How can it be said that the nature is in equilibrium? Okay, how do you explain that? Nature really behaves the way it is. If there's too much heat, it's going to let off some steam. It's going to be, it's going to give off. But that's the way it is. Now, what we humans inject our ideas is that, we say, it stinks because this is bad. This is good. We tend to put those value judgments, okay? What we don't understand is that nature runs its course. Therefore, humans also, we have to remember, if we are in equilibrium, then everything will be perfect. But if we're not in equilibrium, i.e., if some people got more greedy, some people want more, then that upsets the equilibrium. And that's where things get magnified. That's where we see a lot of problems. That's where problems arise. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so that's why. All right? So in this perfect society, okay, peace and trust are the maxims of living. You can say, that it becomes the guide, the unspoken principle. You can say the unspoken principle that everybody will be peaceful, everybody will be happy, everybody will be content. Maybe that's what you can say. Contentment and trust. They will be trustworthy because there's no hidden motive. There's no ulterior motives. Okay? There's no schemes. Or later on we talk about scheming, none of that stuff. Okay? And that all people will love and respect their parents and children as well as the parents and children of others. Because what? We all realize, right? When we achieve the aim of the Tao is that we are all the same. We're all one. There's no longer I and you or us and them. Okay? There's no longer that. Right? And that in this perfect society, the old and the aged or the sick will be cared for, right? And there will be and there will be jobs for adults, for all adults, okay? And there is, you can say, nourishment, caring, upbringing, and education for the children, for the young, okay? And there are means of support for the widows and widowers and and disabled, right? Disabled, and for all those who are lonely, lonely or alone, right? Lonely, right? 废之者, right? 废之者, right? 孤独废之者, right? That's what it means, right? Okay, all right. Yeah, you can say sick. Yeah, the sick, the disabled, the widow, the widowers. There's all people who needed help, in one way or another. All right? Okay? And for the disabled, that's right. Yeah, that's what that means. 废疾. Yeah, 废疾. Okay. And then every man and woman, therefore, has an appropriate role to contribute in society and in family. That's what it means, right? That's what it means. 男有分，女有归, right? Okay. And the next line is very important. 或恶其气于地也, right? 不必葬于祭, right? Okay. It means there is a sense of, you can say, sharing, a sense of community. Maybe that's a better word to say. A sense of community displaces the what? The notions of selfishness and materialism. A sense of communalness or community. Yes, community, sense of community. Family, that we're all together. Where there's no longer I, like I say, there's no longer me, my family, and you and your family. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, and it's just a devotion to public duty leaves no. Yeah, that means, in other words, we care more about others than ourselves. In other words, there's no longer this notion of selfishness. Okay, selfishness becomes diminished. Okay, it becomes more everybody. We care more about everybody else. Okay, about each other. All right, each other. So therefore, and intrigue and conniving for ill gain are unknown. That's it. So now this is very difficult. I agree. It's like it seems like so idealistic, right? It's like it's utopia, right? After all, so that there's no longer sense of, because once again, if you have no longer the sense of selfishness, ego, oh, I want more. You know, I want a bigger house than yours, or I want better cars than yours, or I want more money than you, or I want more land than you, right? So that's very important, all right? So it says, so therefore, right, there's no longer, this sense of, I, and that I have to get more, right? So therefore, it says intrigue and conniving. That's no longer people will say, hey, you know what? I like you. We're going to scheme. Yeah, we're going to scheme. We're going to do Ponzi schemes or whatever to rip off people, or we'll do, or we'll connive and collaborate on a club, on a scheme. Say, hey, only wealthy people can join, or only people like you and me could join and could enrich ourselves, at the expense of others. See, it's very idealistic. I agree. And then lastly, it goes, therefore, if that's the case, then there's no robbers. There will be no robbers. There will be no thieves, right? And then the door to every home, every home door does not have to be locked. It will never be locked or bolted, right? So these are the qualities of a perfect world. I mean, it seems like we'll never reach that state. It seems like that because it's so idealistic, and people say it's naive. But ideally, think about it. Let's just one last thought. If we could go back to absolute heaven, right? Absolute heaven, go back to eternal heaven, it would be like that because there will be no locks at the door, at the homes or palaces. There will be no people looking for selfish gains or stealing people's things. All right? Think about it. Think about it. Is that going to be in heaven? So the Buddhists, they have to have a lock to their palace? Come on. So of course not. So what I'm trying to say is that's what we have to establish in this world. And that's the path. So people say, oh, okay, I'm going to wait till I die. Since I have the three treasures, I can go back to paradise. No. The goal, the aim of the Tao, the essence of the Tao, or you can say, the aim of the essence, the ideals of the Tao is that we have to create paradise in this universe. And this world, in this world. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.